Yo, what is good, guys? I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. A couple days to rest up before this week. We got a lot of big things coming. You got CPI numbers, PPI numbers, and September 16th, which is a very significant date, which I'm going to mention in a little bit, and kind of what to expect. It's been something I've been watching for over a month now, so I recommend watching through this whole video. I got a lot of stuff to tell you guys about, and with all that being said, let's just hop right into it. Make sure to show the video some love, give it a like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So, to start off, Bitcoin, of course. Um, Not really too much to say. I was looking for things to say about it, and there's just not really too much to say about it. So, we've been tracking this whole thing since back here. We bought in the 1700s. That was an area I was aiming for quite a while. Since January, we got there. I said buy, and we got into the mid 20s. I said hop out. Actually, right when we hit that top trend line, because that was a rising wedge. Big drop. You broke out of the bear flag, and you went into this falling wedge, which gave that reversal, which I said was going to happen yesterday's video, or last week's video. Go watch it. I said Bitcoin's going to go back up into the 20,000s. That's what you got. And again, with the video schedule, I'm probably not going to be able to do those day-to-day videos just because of all my schoolwork. But I do want to do at least like 1 or 2 videos a week. We'll see how it goes. But regardless, back to Bitcoin. Right now we're kind of sitting in this area where there's been a lot of congestion. So, and it's right in between these two really significant levels as well. You're right in the middle of it. So you can see there's a lot of congestion, a lot of price action in this area. So I think you might actually, instead of making a break in another direction, you might just be drifting in this area until you get another bigger move, which really it makes sense to go lower to me. There's a lot of like macro things that are pointing to Bitcoin running pretty hard to the upside, but we're gonna take a look at the dollar, the VIX, and SPY, which will give you some pretty big or a good idea for what Bitcoin can do. So, not too much to say about Bitcoin. It's just in this area of congestion. You could see some consolidation. Oil, you got a big, really important bounce off of these big trend lines after this falling wedge, which was something I was looking for. This produced a pretty big rally, not as big as I wanted it to be. I wanted it to continue up, but it did have to drop back and test support at this breakout line, as well as this original support. And now you're sitting at this resistance. I'm not sure what I want to do right now, but I think it could be gearing up for some upside, and I think that's going to have a lot to do with what happens to SPY next week. Not really this week, but next week and the following week, which I'm going to talk about when we get to SPY. So not too much to say about it. Just hit those trend lines, back tested them as support. So the dollar, very, very interesting spot. This thing has gone on an insane run this whole year, just straight up. And right now, you have these big divergences. These are things I really want to stress. I want you to know the importance of this. The dollar goes up, markets go down. Dollar goes down, the markets go up. In these inflationary environments, it's a lot more significant on the markets with what the dollar does. So MACD crossing down on the daily. It's looking so bearish to me. But if that were to happen, this is something I actually just saw. This could be a rising wedge on the dollar, so maybe you go just a little higher one more time. But the point is the dollar looks so bearish, and if it breaks this big trend line, there's so much downside. And what would this produce? A historical rally on the markets. You could see SPY like going back up to the high 400s. This thing broke that big trend line, so it's really hard to say. I would like to see SPY make those new lows, especially in the coming weeks after. You'll see me explain it on SPY when we get to that. But the dollar, it looks so bearish. It doesn't really make sense to me. This looks so bearish to me, but I don't know. That would inevitably make the market run really, really hard. So we're going to see what this does. Maybe you move back up here into October. It's really hard to say. We're just going to have to follow it. But the DXY, the dollar is looking bearish on the macro. Apple, it's last week's video I said I think this could be moving back up to 162. That had to do with Elliott wave theory. and that's where you're kind of moving towards. Not a lot of progress was made, but you did have some nice green candles here. Not too much to say. I think there's something on the daily with the daily MACD crossed over, daily RSI. This is the 4-hour RSI crossed through its moving average. Did I say anything else for this? Give me a second. Yeah, not too much to say about it. Just still looking for that 162. We'll see if we get there. But I think we need a pullback, and of course, you're gonna see me talk about that on SPY. So, Tesla, very confusing. I'm not sure what I want to do. One big thing to note is the ADX is under 20, so it's not in a trend right now, but rather in a phase of accumulation or distribution. And this is a very awkward area. It's kind of at a midpoint of all this price action here. So I'm not sure what Tesla is trying to do here. You got this bounce off this messy trend line, which it's really hard to read Tesla right now. I'm not sure what I want to do. I think this is more just something to play supply and demand zones with, because I don't really see a clear trend, at least of right now. You come into this big trend line, which I can see producing quite a big move off of whatever it decides to do. If it decides to break up or down, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. That's really all I have to say. So Tesla, again, just kind of sitting and waiting to see what I want to do. That daily MACD getting close to testing, but the ADX is under 20, so no confirmed trend. Biotech, been doing exactly what I've expected it to do. Got the ABC down to 82, fill that gap, and that's what we were saying back here. I said, I think you're going to get an ABC down, move down to 82, fill that gap before a nice bounce, and we'll see what it does in this region. So biotech looking interesting. I think right now it's better to just be watching it instead of trying to do something, because this was that move I was looking for. It played out. I'm not sure what I want to do now. SYXS, this is interesting. It's got a gap to fill to the upside, so this might fill, it might not, but you broke out of that rising wedge, which was something. We played the inverse of it. SYXL, I said sub 13, I'm interested in getting in. That was in the Discord. I'm going to show you some stuff from that, but a lot of people hopped in under 13 and got a nice entry. It's been moving up ever since. So big resistance here. You could see a nice rejection, which would correlate with SPY getting a drop, so that does make sense for that to happen, as well as that would also produce a nice bounce for SYXS to fill that gap. So again, you'll see me explain this on SPY. A lot of this stuff will revolve around what the general markets do, which you will see my thoughts on that when I explain SPY. So the VIX, big spot here on this big trend line. Maybe get a bounce that would also daily MACD is testing right here, so maybe you get a bounce, regardless if it blows through this, goes lower, fills that gap right here, regardless of what it does, maybe it gets a bounce, and I'm going to talk about that pretty much right now. So the VIX, let me see if I have anything to say for it. Big trend line, yeah, you had a big trend line, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I just want to move on to SPY right now, so you can really get the general idea of what I'm looking for in the overall market. So first off, Friday we took half of our profits in the Discord. I'm trying to figure out how I want to start this off. I'm just going to show you the Discord messages. So last week, I was looking for us to get to 406, 410. I didn't say I think we're going to get there. I literally said we will go there. We're going to 406. There's a virgin point of control here, right here, that line, which we hit, which I'm just going to show you this and then go back to the messages. But that's what we hit on Friday, and that's where we also sold. So this red line right here, that's where you hit virgin point of control, testing liquidity there. We were back at 430, and I said we're gonna have to test this region here. That's what we hit, and as we moved down, I just adjusted those price targets, those levels, started buying down here, and we took those profits. Maybe at the top, you're gonna see me explain futures in a little bit, but yeah. So really nice money was made last week. That move was very expected. I knew we were going to move up. We broke this region. It's a straight shot to 410, which is happening right now on futures. As you can see, we had a nice gap up right into that 4010 region. So it's all going according to plan. Nothing unexpected is happening right now. I do think we could be looking at a pullback, which you're going to see me explain pretty soon. I want to make sure I got everything out of the way. Let's see, futures. Um, yeah, I think I got everything out of the way. Um, it was very clear. This move, we were at under 400 still, and I was saying we're going to take profits at 406, 410. So I'm telling you, join this Discord. Like, I really can, not financial advice, but I can guarantee profits. I can tell you what the future holds. For SPY, I'm pretty good with SPY. So just looking at this, you can get the idea that I really do know what I'm doing here. So that being said, I think we're just going to hop into the technicals now. So Friday, we took our profits right at the end of the day, like over 407. And well, what we specifically did was to manage risk. Risk management is very important. We took half of our profits, put that into shorts, so we're kind of in this hedged region right now where I'm looking for a pullback before going higher, so I still have half of my long position, but half of a short position, so on the pullback, I take profit from the short position, maybe put it back into the longs, ride it up to where I think it'll go, and adjust from there. So to start off, the big downtrend resistance, let me get some of these lines out of the way. This is where we're at right now. We're at a pretty relevant trend line here. It's a little more clear on the higher time frames that you got rejected from there, whether you got it from here. It's a little messy with this rejection. So I think Monday is going to give us a very clear indication of what it wants to do. I would really like to see this. I'll explain it at the end of the video, but I would like to see a pullback, preferably Monday. It's such a tight time frame, but pullback on Monday, the rest of the week green, and you'll see why I would like to see that happen. So somewhat of a rejection from the trend line, but we don't have enough information to say that yet, enough confirmation. So ascending broaden and wedge, this is another macro thing here. Actually, just so you get what this is that the supply and demand zones. This is why I said I think it's a straight shot to 410 once we enter this volume pocket. Really that ended at 410. So you broke through that, you got a nice gap up in futures, which took it to 4,010, which is equivalent to around 410 on SPY. So I can take that off now, get that out of the way, and just kind of unclutter it a little bit. So this rectangle, you'll see me explain this in a little bit. So ascending broaden and wedge, what is this? This is very interesting here. So we're going to leave this as a possibility in the cards. We might test this trend line again. If you break this trend line here, let me draw this out so it's a little more clear what I'm saying. So, let's say you break this back test, it would be an absolutely parabolic move for us to hit this trend line. So it's crazy, but it doesn't make sense either. But something to keep in the card too. Maybe you test this trend line again. Before new lows. It sounds crazy. I know it's really crazy. I don't think it'll happen, but just a possibility, especially if you break this trend line somehow. That's the next one to be watching, I think. So ascending broadening wedge, what usually happens is you hit this and you test it a third time, but I think it's too high up for us to do that, and so you might not even get that full move. You get a move to kind of the middle of this range right here, so the middle right here, and then you break to the downside, usually to the origin point of this, where this pattern was formed. So that's when you test the lows and preferably break down, and you go into the mid 300s. So the next few weeks are going to be very pivotal. I think you're going to see absolutely enormous moves, regardless if it's to the downside or the upside. So what I want to talk about next, the short term. So we talked a little bit about the macro, what those really big trend lines are, and now we're going to zoom in so you can see what's relevant for the short term, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we're going to go into the 15-minute here, zoom in a little bit. Let me get off of this thing. So for the short term here, these trend lines here, these were lines we're watching the Discord very closely. These have to do with where I think we will pull back to. I really think it's unlikely we move higher without a pullback, but it is possible. And I think the highest we can go, it's going to be these levels here. So 410, it it's really unlikely. I wouldn't mind it because I do still have a long position, um, and would likely reduce my short position if we move higher. I don't want to complicate it, so I'm just gonna say we could be moving higher up to 410, but we just did that in futures, so it's more important on futures that it does this rather than SPY. So I think we did technically hit 410. So that was the region we were looking to take profits in for 6 410. I said straight shot to 410, so that's kind of where we hit in futures. So where would this pullback be to? Well, I think there's a lot of incentive to come down to 400 very high 390s, and I think I have some stuff to actually, yeah, I can explain that right now. And then we're gonna go back to the daily, so I can show you some. Actually, no, I'm just gonna do that now so I can explain the short term all at once. So these are just things that I forgot to point out. Daily RSI cross that is bullish went through the moving average and is testing 50 right now. So it's just over 50. Maybe get a cool off. But this is a big spot to be testing on that daily RSI. The ADX is under 20, so it's not in a confirmed trend, rather accumulation distribution. So hard to say what it's doing right now. It could be distribution now. It's really hard to say, to be honest. So that's something we're just going to be watching for now until we kind of see some clearer signals from where I would say towards the end of this week, so like the 16th. We'll see where it's at. But I think that's all I had to say for the daily. Yeah. So now we're going to go back in short term, and then I'm going to explain what I would like to see, and that's going to be it for this video. So the reasons why I think we could be pulling back. So first off, you have your rising wedge here. This was something we were watching. We shorted like right here, I think. Yeah, above 407. We took profits above 407, and we got that nice drop at the end of the day. Out of this falling wedge, there was, I think there's an even bigger falling wedge somewhere. I don't know, but it's looking pretty bearish. You have divergences on the 5 minute or really shorter time frames, but it's starting to form into the medium time frames. Crossover on the 15 minute, so that's a divergence right there. Daily, the RSI divergence right there. 30 minute hasn't started showing signs yet, but it's close. So it needs a few hours during the intraday to really start playing out these signals here, which it's overbought on the 30 minute. So you could see a cool off, maybe we somehow squeeze through 410. Unlikely, but the next area would be the low 400 teens. So we'll see how Monday goes. I kind of need that Monday to see what it wants to do, but what I would like to see is a pullback to this region right here, because first off, so I'll explain this one by one. So if this is a retrace, this is I think an ABC up, maybe 5 ways up, hard to count them, but I don't want to complicate it. I just want to kind of get the point through. So where you would be retracing to if this is the high, it might be a little higher in pre-market if we stay higher in futures, but the 0.382 is at 400, so it's this dotted line right here. If you can see that lines up with this white line, which has to do with these two tops right here. You have this bottom trend line, which is pretty heavily respected, has been respected so far. So what else do you have? Yeah, those are, and this PVOC, so VPOC. So there's a lot of incentive to come right down to this region at 400, 398, like 399. You have that gap here, so I'm telling you, there's a lot of incentive to move down right to this region, and I would like to see that happen Monday, maybe Tuesday, and the catalyst would be CPI. So CPI is a really big factor that early on in the week the market's going to revolve around. So if it drops before CPI, like Monday is really red, you test 400, then I think CPI could be green. Like CPI could be lower than 0.8 or 8%. So you have quite a few catalysts this week. CPI, PPI. So big things this week. I think I would like to see a pullback early in the week, but that does not happen. I'm looking for 420. Maybe you feel this gap, and I think it has to happen before September 16th, which is this Friday. So I think you're going to get a lot of volatility this week. So it's going to be a fun week regardless. I would prefer to see a pullback very short term, like Monday before Tuesday, preferably, before a rally to 420. I'm not sure if that will happen. And it's hard to make these YouTube videos with how little time I have during the week. So join the Discord. I am always in there, every day, pretty much all day. So join the Discord. If I'm not on YouTube, I'm on Discord. So what I would like to see this week, a pullback early this week, first couple days of the week, before more upside to 420, and or the mid 400 teens. So actually, I kind of want to make it conservative, so like 415 to 420. You have a weekly gap at 420, so I'm lining this up with the gap. You have a weekly gap here, which provides even more incentive to move up here. I would just like to see a pullback. So you have a bullish engulfing candle here. There's a lot of incentive to continue moving up, but I would like to see that short-term pullback. So that's what I have for this video. If you watched the whole thing through, show it some love, give it a like and subscribe, and join the Discord. We are running a lifetime, that lifetime deal, which we don't do very often. There's a limited amount of spots. It might already be closed. But if it is not, go check it out. That's going to be in the description. And yeah, that's what I have. That's all I have for this video. So peace out, guys.